Hello and welcome to the Flawed Therapist podcast. Today, my eminent guest is David Traynor, a therapist based in Warrington and Cheshire, and he works face to face and online. And his business called is Finding You Therapy. Welcome, David. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Um,
Masha.
so,
Nice to be here.
so at the beginning of our chat, I'll give you a chance to show off, to say anything you want to say about your business and your achievements, what you're proud of, and then it will go downhill from there.
Okay,
So
let's see
this,
what happens.
this is the chance.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, as Masha said, it's I've got a business finding new therapy. I've been doing this for roughly 5 years. It's not exclusively, but predominantly I work with men's issues, the masculine, feminine sides, relationships, how we get in touch with ourselves, work with emotions, and that's predominantly my work, but not exclusively. I do work with women as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, David. So I really like the name of your business, Finding You Therapy. Do you want to say a few words about that? Like a potted journey of how you found you.
That is, we've not got long enough today to really talk about that. But yes, I love that question because finding you, that was me. That was me. I went through some difficult times sort of 15 years ago. Uh, Divorce, children, it was messy. And I just did not understand my emotional world. My inner world, I did not know what it was. And it was just like a new world opening up. It was scary. I didn't know what to do. So gradually, I got around people who supported me. I got around, understood myself a little bit more, got into counseling eventually. I wanted to sort of do counseling because I wanted to figure myself out, probably like a lot of people doing counseling. But that was the start of my journey of understanding myself. I'm still on that journey, absolutely.
It's a
And
bit of a
I,
lifetime job, isn't it?
yes,
Our own healing
I'll
journey.
never arrive, and I don't ever want to arrive, to be honest with you.
Mm.
It's a journey I want to be on, and even seeing clients, I pick up so much from them as well, and yeah, it's a good journey, up and down, but good.
A lot of learning there, and it sounds like you find it really fulfilling
Yeah, love it,
to do what
absolutely.
you do. Yeah. So, you want to say anything about the less glamorous aspects of being a therapist? So I've been on my healing journey and now I'm helping others, and people often see us as, together and sorted and
Yeah.
healed. As we already mentioned, it is a lifetime job, so probably nobody can be claiming to be fully healed. But so anything you can say about the aspects of being a therapist that are maybe more mundane or difficult or
Yeah.
not so glamorous?
Again, there's a lot of them as well because I mean I've got three boys that they're older now and they don't let me forget. They if I come up with anything therapy based, the way I phrase something, they'll point that out straight away. Dad, don't,
Don't tell it, don't therapy me.
yeah,
Yeah,
not get the therapy shit out of the way.
yeah.
And it's good because I need that.
Mm.
I can't, I'm not a counselor all the time. And I think at the beginning that I wanted to be that with people, and I soon found out, especially of my kids, that it's not appropriate. I want to be me with people. I mean, that I'm a counselor when I'm counseling, and finding that shift was really important for me. Um, and to be honest with you, when like a client might say something like, "Well, you're the expert," so using them terms, it like grinds at me a little bit. Not, I understand where it's coming from because yeah, I'm the professional in that scenario, but I, I often don't see whether it's good or bad. I don't see myself as a professional. I just see myself as like walking with them. It's not me and then there's you. We're doing this together.
Yeah, I like that metaphor, that analogy of walking with alongside somebody. I think that's a really good description of what I
Yeah.
try to do. But there is a pressure to be the expert, to be the professional, to be kind of a calm and steady and to know things and to ask the right questions. And that can be quite unnerving when you feel that expectation.
Yes, absolutely. I, I suppose it's like when when we're taught, to be when we're a counsellor, we become a counsellor, and it is a professional service that we offer. But when you're with a human being, and human beings do what they do, and sometimes the professionalism, you can't always be 100% professional. Like I remember early on when I was training, I was on placement, and the early hours were difficult. And I remember one time, they people who don't know counselling don't know the rules. They are themselves. They bring the problems. They swear. They say inappropriate things. That's what it is, and we have to deal with that.
I would say sometimes it's very appropriate to swear. So,
Yeah, right. Yeah, because well, and there's one I remember one in particular, and he would swear a lot. He would, bring whatever he would. He was nice enough lad, but he was different to me. He had a different lifestyle. Just said things exactly as they was, rough and ready, but a great person. I remember at the end the relief on his face, and he said, "I didn't want to come to counselling. I didn't know who you were going to be. I didn't know what you were going to say. I didn't know. I've had people judge me through my life. I've had people let me down." And he was there every single week. I think it was like 6 or 8 sessions we had, and every week he showed up. I showed up, and at the end, he just said, he just sat back and like was like, I don't know what to do. I just so enjoy. I got so much from this. It's really surprised me, and I don't want it to end. So at the end, when he got up, he just gave me a hug, absolutely spontaneously. And as a professional, there's no contact, there's no professionalism. Keep it professional, no contact with the client, and I get that, nothing inappropriate. But when he gave me a hug, I, he weren't like a handshake person. He wasn't, he weren't choosing his words. He just gave me a hug because he wanted to give me a hug. That was his language. And I had a real like dilemma. It was only for a second or so. I thought, right, do I keep it professional and just back off, or do I give him a hug, meet him where he's at? And I made a decision to just give him a hug, because if I wouldn't have done that and I just either sat back or sort of dismissed him in a way, we built up a really good relationship in that small time, and it would have been more inappropriate, to be honest with you, to back off, and it just meant the world to him.
yeah, I can
Um,
really hear you,
yeah,
David. And I know within some therapeutic modalities and for some therapists, hugging client is a no-no.
mm,
But for me, not to return a hug if the client is reaching out for a hug,
yeah,
that can be cruel, cruel. And so I'm not going to pounce on clients with my hugs.
yeah,
Um, so it's not about my need, but
yeah,
when the client is reaching out for a
yeah.
hug,
That's a good
you know,
point. That's a good
it
point.
is just a human, it's just a
Yeah,
human thing to, we are counselors, therapists, psychotherapists, whatever.
yeah,
And I think the humanity is so important. And I think we're often scared to show humanity, or certainly trainees or kind of new counselors often because we're told the rules.
yeah.
We're scared to show our humanity because it's flawed by definition, and we can mess up and we can make mistakes.
Because because there's times I want to, I'll hear a story and it really touches me. That's another thing. Crying in a session. I've cried a couple of times. I did never cried years ago, but once I started getting in touch with who I am inside, I cry so much now. And I've cried a few times, and I've seen the look on clients' faces, and I thought, my word, I didn't want to upset them. And I remember one where I'd cry, and I had to bring it just ended, and I had to bring it up because I wanted to, in the next session, I wanted to sort of address it and just talk about it. I just said, look, this is for me. And I just I was just wondering, I didn't want to upset you. I just found what you were saying. I felt sadness. I was absolutely fine, but I just felt sadness, and that was all.
So being genuinely your emotions, I know it can feel pretty vulnerable,
Yeah.
and you know, I've been known to get into trouble writing a case study where I mentioned crying,
Okay.
because I was so deeply impacted by um, what the client was saying. I think I was marked down for that assignment, because of all the things around crying. Oh, you're making the client kind of need to look after you. No, no. I think sometimes we can be just deeply and profoundly moved or saddened
Yeah.
by a story, and I think appropriate expression of emotion.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, without kind of putting it all on the client. That seems a healthy thing, to me. But I can see that that there may be judgment
Yeah.
for some,
And
with that.
yeah, and talking about judgment, again, I remember in a session we spoke about things, and I made it was a judgment on how this client was living a life,
Mm,
and that was at the time I didn't see it as a judgment, but it was. And I remember this client come back and they said, I just want to talk about the last session we had. And I believe I didn't feel right that you'd said what you'd said. It was a judgment. I felt uneasy with it.
mm,
And inside, I'm thinking, oh my word, that I didn't want to do that, but I did it.
mm,
And I had to really own that. And we talked about it. I said, I'm really sorry I've said those words. I've really said those words. But I want to thank you for you being able to come here and say that.
mm.
And we spoke about that. And it was just, I don't know, I owned it more. That client felt better for saying it. They felt understood.
Mm.
I don't know, it just seemed to deepen that connection a bit more.
Being given some feedback is a precious gift and can
Yeah,
be so
absolutely. Yeah.
squirmy. So it sounds like you were, on that occasion at least, you were able to acknowledge it. I think that's a really big deal. Um, these are some of the most difficult situations I found when, I either realized myself or the client gave me some feedback, indicating that I've screwed up, sometimes a big way, and to acknowledge it and apologizing. That is so hard. That is so hard and painful. And, we might take it to supervision and we might kind of churn it over and over and trying to process it. But I think that matter of acknowledgement of where we have gone wrong, that feels really important
Yeah, it does.
to
It
me.
does. It really does.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. There's so many, and that happened just in the moment. I didn't know. I didn't know I'd said that. I didn't realize. But we do that because we're human. But it's things. It is the unexpected things. Like I remember, a client sat down, and above, so where I've got my room in here, is the toilet upstairs, and whoever it was having the most longest pee I've ever known. But because it was above, it was really noisy. And I looked at my client, and my client looked at me, and I could see they were distracted. I'm thinking, I know exactly what that is and what's going on, and probably you do as well. And it was just probably a couple of minutes. It felt like a couple of minutes where it's just that's happening. I overlooked that. I can't ban someone from going to the toilet, but it's little things like that that happen. You have to sort of, right, do we own this now, or do we just wait and just forget it happened?
So did you have a chat about the longest
No.
ever pee?
I
Okay. So,
bottled it.
so you were both sitting there. Oh, this is so embarrassing.
I tried to continue, but it did get in the way a little bit. It did get in the way a little bit. But yeah, I did. I bottled it. I never
Yeah,
said it.
soundproofing is a big problem. If you're working in the space where all kinds of embarrassing things can happen, the soundproofing is not great. Yeah, I really feel for you there.
Yeah, it was a it was a tough one.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to go back to one of the things you said earlier in terms of you at some points, kind of in your journey, kind of attempting to be a counselor to your own children, which
Okay.
I know from personal experience never goes well. I've only got one daughter, but there's been many an occasion she'll go, "Mother, get away with me. Get away from me with your psychobabble." Um, so thankfully she's grown up to be a um, very healthy
Oh, good.
and solid young woman. So um,
Despite having a therapist as well.
despite, or maybe because of, but probably despite having a therapist as a
Yeah,
mother.
sure.
So I'm just wondering, our clients often see us as very sorted and, we have a good connection. They feel our empathy and perhaps see our wisdom. Um, but our nearest and dearest may have altogether different view of us. So I'm just wondering if your friends or family members were to talk about your flaws, if they were
Mm.
guests on this podcast.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
day I might do that. I might invite the therapist and their family. That would be fun.
Oh,
Um, what might they say about you?
that's a good question. That I think my sons, um, they can probably see a change in me. Like I say, at first, I wanted to sort of use my therapy, not therapy on them, but what come out of learning about myself and about therapy. That wanted to come out, but that quickly got shut down. So I think if you was to ask my children, yeah, he's chilled out a bit more. But he's still an idiot. I'll still, put on the family WhatsApp group some stuff and they'll pick it up like that. So, but I learned so much from them. I used to think it was the other way around. I teach the kids, they teach me. They
Yeah.
absolutely teach me, and that's really okay.
What's your biggest lesson that you learned from your kids?
Not to take things too serious.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that was quite a big one. Because I think because of the work we do, it can be serious and it's heavy stuff. And I think I can be like that sometimes. So they're a great sort of check-in to
Mhm.
say, "Come on, mate, don't
Yeah.
don't believe your own hype. You're still flawed. You've still not got it right." And
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
If you ask my wife, you know, we argue, which is something I didn't do with my first wife. Again, I don't want to go into that, but we learned so much. To express emotions is a good thing, and I didn't do that. But so with my current wife, I express a lot more now. So we will argue sometimes, we'll have discussions sometimes, and I'm sure if we're outside and next door's here, that you might think he's a therapist. But again, that's okay. It's just human.
It
It's just
doesn't have a perfect relationship.
no.
Surprise.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another misconception people often have that therapists somehow their relationships are all sorted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
'Cause in my work, I do another job which I've actually handed my notice in. So from late September, I will be a free counsellor, just looking for work and doing a private practice.
So you'll be
But
increasing your private practice hours this
that's it.
autumn. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but when I'm with them, so it's like a man in like a man's world, which is that work. There's a lot of opinions.
Mhm.
There's a lot of opinions, a lot of definites. You have to be right, and I find that so challenging. And I
Mm,
think it's because I do this work now. We sort of sit back and we look at someone how they might say something, and you look at it differently. But then when I've got a lot of opinions, strong opinions coming at me and being fired out, I just tend to sort of sit back And it might look a bit rude, but that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. So, from what you're saying, your kind of a day
Yes,
job that
which I do, which I
you're
do
going to
4 days
leave.
a week, which is nothing to do with counselling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like people have quite patriarchal attitudes in
Yes.
that. Oh, so that must be quite hard to
Yeah.
reconcile
Yeah.
with your therapy work, where
Yes.
it's much more nuanced and
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah,
It's tricky. It's
yeah,
tricky. It really is
really,
because they'll just have their strong views.
yeah.
That's it.
I'm not surprised you want out of there.
Yeah. That's it. It's
Yeah,
tough. It's tough.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But there's like an expectation. Maybe there's an expectation from them for me to be counsellor David. Well, in that environment, I'm not a counsellor. I'm not, but I'm bringing something different. I'm a changed person. There's something different in me now, and I'm not that person who I might have been that person who give out my opinions and
Yeah.
had to be right about things, but
Mm.
it's different now.
Yeah.
It's a challenge that.
Mm. Okay. So for anybody listening or watching, David will have some more space for new clients from autumn onwards.
Yep.
And I will include your contact details
Okay. Be great to
with this
connect.
with this recording, David. So you mentioned about sometimes the client stuff can be quite hard. It can be quite hard going. Um, in my own experience as well, kind of vicarious trauma, burnout is a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how do you cope when things get pretty heavy? Sometimes, like if you have a number of clients in a row or who tell you a really difficult story,
Mm.
how is that for you, and how do you manage?
It's a good question. It's an important question. So obviously I've got my supervision. I'm in a couple of sort of supervision groups,
Mm,
which can bounce ideas off, obviously in confidence. I guess I guess the more I do it, the more I've sort of heard similar themes. So maybe I'm a little bit more used to it now.
mm,
Doesn't make it any easier.
mm,
But I think it's for me, it's talking it through and even distracting myself with something very different at the end. I'll
mm,
always, write some notes about what happened, what I felt, but I'll always distract myself, switch off from something to something very different. It could be, I don't know, watching Star Wars. It could be just watching something doing something very different to switch off.
mm,
I can always come back to them notes if I feel it's coming up, and I can try and look at them again and see if I've noticed anything different. But the people, the connections who I've got, that's really important.
mm.
Having that, I think I always thought I could do it on my own, as much as daft as that sounds, but it's the absolute opposite. The more and more you connect with people, you will get perspectives, you will get thoughts. It's just so valuable that I've really learned that.
Mm. So, are you able to ask for help now? If whereabout it sounds like in the past you tried to soldier on through difficult things, and is has that been one of the learnings for
Yes,
you?
definitely. And do you know what though, Masha? In all honesty, I still slip into that role.
Mm.
I still slip into,
I'm the strong one.
yeah,
I
I'll,
don't
I'll
need
be fine.
anybody.
I'll be fine. But I don't know if maybe I notice it a little bit more when I do that. Hopefully I do, but I know I slip into that still.
Yeah,
But I'm much more prepared to have that conversation now, and I still look at it as being vulnerable. I do,
yeah,
and being honest.
yeah. I find it's not unusual for many therapists to kind of be in that to have that trait of I have to be strong, I
Mm,
can't ask for help. Somehow asking for help is a
mm,
failure.
yeah,
Um, it makes me vulnerable, it makes me look weak and all that. And
yeah,
um, yeah, and I can relate to that. But
yeah.
the time comes when we learn that actually reaching out for help is a very human thing.
No,
And obviously it's part of our professional requirement that we discuss our work with our clinical supervisors. But are you able to ask for help in other ways as well, to reach out to
In
friends,
other ways,
family, other people?
yeah. So obviously, I'm married, and I'll just say like I've had a difficult client. Obviously, not going into detail, but just I'll check in with her. I'll just say, you know what, that was tough. I'm not quite sure what I think about that. She knows now not to ask any questions because I'm not going to say anything, but she'll just check in. It's really good. She'll check in. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah,
So I know I've got that. It's not, obviously she didn't know details, but just I think just having that other person just to say, are you okay?
yeah.
What are you feeling?
Mm.
Because she's very in touch with her feelings, and she's empathic like that, which is good. So yeah, so that I'd
Yeah,
said that I get that support as well, which is
that's
good.
lovely. Yeah, no, it makes a big difference to have a supportive partner. Yeah, even though we can't discuss the details, but just to say, oh, I had a shitty day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Do
Mm.
you know what? I've got a glass of water here, and it's just reminded me. So behind me is the chair where the client sits, and I'm literally just looking at that glass now. So next to the chair is a little tiny table, and I always put a glass too close, a glass of water. And it did happen one time where a client was gesticulating and they knocked the glass flying. He was absolutely mortified. Um, so I moved it away. I've been moving it away gradually and gradually. But I'm always nervous of when someone's like, they'll express it using their arms, express things. And I'm like, oh my, it does distract me. So I'm
In my
thinking,
therapy room, it is me who knocks over
oh,
glasses of water
all
and
right,
cups of coffee. I feel quite jealous that you've got
all
clients
right, yeah,
clients
good.
to do that for you. It's
Right.
you, it's usually me. Yeah, and you know, clients are allowed to be flawed. Uh, in fact, you might want to knock over a glass of water yourself on purpose because that gives the client permission to be
Yeah, they won't feel as
flawed
bad
and
then.
clumsy. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm just thinking of maybe one of the last questions I want to ask. Um, Something about kind of as you are on your own healing journey, your professional journey,
Yeah.
um, what's still flawed about you? What still needs attention?
Right. Number one is I'm a people pleaser.
Okay.
I might say I'm a recovering people pleaser, but I've got that in me. I've absolutely got that in me. I'm the Enneagram number 9, so I'm like a
Mhm.
peacekeeper. That's just part of who I am. So
Snap.
I have to really watch. Yeah, you are. So I have to really watch when I'm slipping into that people pleasing mode, especially with clients, because I've got a tendency to sort of like um, go along with them instead of sort of sitting and then reflecting on what they're saying. I tend to sort of want to go in with them and what's the word? Can't think of the word. Where you sort of go along with someone. Anyway, but that's what I want to do. That's what I tend to want to do.
Collude.
Collude,
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's my sort of
yeah.
where I have to really watch. Other slip ups, timekeeping.
Mhm.
Timekeeping is not good. Thankfully, I have opened the door a couple of times in my colourful PJs to clients. They've got the time wrong. Thankfully, I've not. But there are also times, honestly, where I've had a client and then I've also looked at my diary after that's finished and thinking, oh shit, I had another one there, phone call, or I had something on. So I
Okay,
have to,
missing appointments. Yeah,
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 yeah, doubling
yeah,
up. So that's one I have to watch as well. Not
yeah,
very organised.
yeah. I've done that. Can relate
I'm
to that.
sure there are others. I'm sure there are
Yeah,
plenty.
yeah.
But that's
Well,
good. It's okay being flawed. It really is. I thought it was a bit of a weakness,
mm,
like you said before. Like people see a therapist as they've got it all sorted. They can't get it wrong.
mm,
You ask my wife if I get things wrong, she'll tell you. She will absolutely tell you. That's all right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David. Really, really enjoyed chatting to you. And So
And
I
you?
will include your details with the with this recording so that people can get in touch with you if they can feel they relate
Very good.
and they want to work with you. So thank you
Thank
very much, and thank you everyone who's listening and watching this. There will be more episodes coming soon.
you.
And this has been David Traynor working in Warrington and online. Um,